Now, ever since Joe Biden's faltering performance in a televised debate with Donald Trump, there have been more and more voices from his Democratic Party colleagues and donors urging him to give up his presidential re-election campaign and let another candidate take his place. On Wednesday, it was a film star and fundraiser, George Clooney, and now the first Democratic Senator, Peter Welch, has joined the chorus. He wrote in the Washington Post that the stakes could not be higher, and he simply could not unsee President Biden's disastrous debate performance. He said Mr. Biden needs to reassess whether he is the best candidate, and that in his view, Mr. Biden is not. But there are no signs that President Biden is listening to those voices. Well, from one of those stories, let's cross live now to Tel Aviv and speak with our special correspondent, Carl Bostic. Good to see you, Carl. So how significant is Senator Welch's article and the fact that he's added to the stream of voices that we're hearing from the Democratic Party that Joe Biden should stand aside?
Good evening, Charles. It's not only just that significance, of course, yes, he's the first senator, Democrat senator, to come out openly saying he should step aside. But now, just before we came on air, it's now being reported in the New York Times that some of President Biden's closest advisors and longtime friends have been now discussing privately how best to convince him to step aside. This is just developing like maybe 30 minutes ago or so, how to convince him to step aside. And they need to make the case that includes several things. They need to explain to him that the way things stand now, Charles, he cannot win the election in November against Donald Trump. They also have to make the case that any other candidate, for example, like Kamala Harris, would stand a better chance of defeating Donald Trump in November. And then also, finally, they need to make the case that if this does become a very, very shortened situation where you only have a month until the Democratic convention next month in August in Chicago, it would not be a chaotic mess. So that's the pressure under right now. But to go back to what you're saying, to put things into context, every day, Charles, we're now seeing new polls 2 weeks after that, quite frankly, debacle or disaster of a debate. The latest poll being a Washington Post ABC News poll saying that amongst Democrats only, 57% of Democrats don't want to see him run. They want him to end his campaign. Overall, nationally, Charles, about 2/3, 67% want to see him end his campaign. What's even more revealing, Charles, is a poll by the Pew Research Group. This poll, asks a question about how would you describe either candidate in terms of their mental cognition.
Right. I'm really sorry about this, Carl, but we've got an abridged version of the program today.